Okay, so. Welcome back to Signals on 91.3 Lagos Talks. We'll continue Signals business next week, Saturday, God willing. So we're having before I start, I would like to say don't laugh, don't laugh, because I'm about to get into a terrain that is very enlightening. That's what I'm going to call it. So be part of the program by sending us a WhatsApp message 009-234-5913. A very special thanks to Temi Tokbo Mole for making this happen. I have with me, so she goes, we provide life skills, work readiness and placements for the deaf and people living with disabilities. They call them PWDs. Disability Sign Language, SDGs, mainstreaming and inclusion, mental/emotional well-being sensitization, training, facilitation, advocacy, community engagement, and research. When the mind is liberated through education, the blind will see and the deaf will hear. With sign language, everyone is included. I have with me, and the conversation this morning is empowering people with disability. I have with me Treasures Uchebo, the convener and CEO of Speaking Fingers Network. Welcome to Signals.
Thank you so much.
So we're laughing. We're laughing because when she met me this morning, it's the first time we're meeting, and she started with sign language. So I just said, okay, we are going to have this conversation this morning. Now, first, before I start questions, I would like to say a very big thank you.
Thank you.
I had gone through Speaking Fingers Network, and well done.
Thank you.
We're supposed to have this conversation last week, and then she had to be on NTA, but again, well done.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
So
Thank
let's
you.
start. And please try not to use your fingers.
Oh my, okay, I'm going to keep my hands.
Yeah, unless you would have to, unless you are facing the camera, so
Yes.
unless you want to do that to somebody who has who needs to hear you
me speak. Okay,
Now-
fine. I love you, my friends.
Now, can you tell us how you became interested in helping people with disability and the journey so far? I want to hear it.
Thank you so much. Adewumi, right?
Yes.
So it's interesting, and really I also must appreciate Stati Temitokwe
Yes.
and for making this happen.
She just gave, you know what she did? She just called me and said, there's somebody you need to have.
Oh
and
my
I said, yes, ma. And she goes, okay. And that was it.
So shout out to her.
Yes.
I feel elated. I'm excited, and most of all, I'm also in a station I love so much,
Okay.
and yes, one of the stations. I'm a radio. I love radio. I love radio. I'm on radio like that's my mental massage. I do a mental massage, brain massage every morning from my radio. My radio routine starts from 4 a.m. till 10. So, but I'm on different radios, and Lagos Talk happens to be one of. In fact, I got a gift from Lagos Talks.
That's good.
Yes, this year. Adu's program.
Adu,
happy birthday in arrears. It's not only Mr. Sebastian that gets to wish you happy birthday. I'm jealous. So, I would say for me the journey has been beautiful. It all started. Well, in my days as an HIV counselor tester, I had actually worked with Nigerian Association of the Blind, providing screenings, HIV screenings, and but where it all began, as it were, was during the course of that journey. I tested a deaf at 21 who came out HIV positive. Her result was, and I couldn't speak sign language, so, and I couldn't sign. We were doing biro and paper, so, and it occurred to me that we could have young people like her, and if the right, the assertive skills is built, I'm a life skill trainer, I'm a life skill coach, and so if I could provide that same service I provide for mainstream, how about creating one that is going to be done, because what usually happens is that with sign language, what we knew sign language for was for events, church, most especially events, when where we're having events, we're hosting. So it was all about the show. And I really, although it's changing now, I used to see interpreters with their very hardcore faces. I love to play. I love to play. I love to tease. And so I felt, okay, so how about changing the paradigm and make sign language available, make my life skill curriculum available. So I dusted it, and I decided I was going to go after other young deaf persons, and I tell you, it has been intriguing. Recently we just finished, then we also have with it the annual deaf teenagers summer camp. So we just finished our camp, so I'm sure you saw a bit of the highlights of the camp. Every summer we bring them together, and aside the camp, it's just been like one layer, like the onions, one layer to another. Another intervention that has come into play by virtue of need is the fact that we started adult literacy, because we found out that there are those who didn't have a chance to education, not really a fault of theirs, but some their parents, family members really didn't know that they could go further than primary school in some cases, or never knew they could be in school. Those have been the experiences. Then I got to find those who want to do assignments for their children. They want to do homework for their children like every other regular mother would, want to do that. And it's been like one layer. And then the icing on the cake is the fact that having invested so much in the life of the young deaf teenagers, and I decided, okay, can we make the world an accessible place for when you as a young child, also so a teenager who is not with disability, sees another teenager that is deaf, you could communicate, you could have a conversation, which is what your station stands for. You could have that conversation. And I went to this school to set up clubs like I would do, and I asked, I said, who are the users of sign language? And it will amaze you to see a boy in primary 4 raise his hand, and so I was excited he was going to give me the answer that is in my heart, but I really needed to listen to him. And children are like, they are playing. And guess what? The boy told me, I said, so who are the users of In Excitement? He said, Mumu people.
Wow.
So I knew we were in trouble. We were in trouble because where did he hear that an average deaf person like himself is a Mumu person? And we got approval to go into 32 schools under Ikeja local government, and besides providing sign language learning, where the catch was the sign language, because it was intriguing to see somebody like what I've just done with you, Kayode, from the gate and everywhere, but do that. But beyond that, it's about creating early disability awareness, like what you are doing as media people now, for young children to be aware. Then the sign language just became like an icing on the cake. So
okay. Now 32 schools, right? I know that we have a school of people living with disabilities.
You call it inclusive unit.
Okay, I'm sorry, inclusive unit. There's a school in Surulere, so when they're coming out, you see their hands, and it's very, for me, it's very fascinating how we have the privilege to speak and they don't, but they're comfortable, they're happy.
Yes, because they have a language. And one of the highlights why Temitope wanted us to have this in September was the fact that the whole month of September is Deaf Awareness Month. Okay. All over the world. Wow. And from the Deaf Awareness Month, we have the Deaf Awareness Week, then the International Day of Sign Languages, where sign language is recognized like you are speaking, but for them, the voice is in their hands, where they use sign language to communicate. We all gesticulate, so in some form. So it's about making that gesticulation into something meaningful that can hold a conversation, change lives, make them become advocates for themselves, because I'm very heavy on self-advocacy. So it's not about the things that we are saying on their behalf. It is them being in the forefront and also saying things for themselves.
No, so permit me to ask that how did you have been in it for a while? So how did sign language really start?
Okay. Sign language for us in Nigeria, in Africa, was brought by a man named Andrew Foster. He is the father of sign language in Africa. And he actually planted a church. Another fascinating thing is there's a church that you have they're all deaf. The choir will robe. Yes. Christ Mission for the Deaf is at Akpata in Surulere. I mean, not Surulere. The school we are talking about is Surulere. This is in Akpata in Palm Grove. And tomorrow I will be worshiping there because the women are having their Thanksgiving. Okay, so it's going to be all dressy, all, looking good. But beyond sign language, disability, that is just a part of it, because we have 8 clusters of disability recognized in Nigeria. Namely. Okay, so for some you have to go and do. Usually I put that as a question and I will go and do research. But
let's do this.
So you have persons that are blind, persons that are deaf, persons that with intellectual disability, where you have the Down syndrome. CP on the 6th was World CP Day, for instance. Those are under the intellectual disability. You have those with spinal cord injury. You have what we put, because sometimes the use of language, where we say crippled, no, they are with physical disability. And those with in the dwarfism, then how many have I mentioned so far? 6. Oh, you're counting. Then we have albinism is also, and leprosy. So you have 8 clusters of disability, and there's a national body. Which is the Joint National Association of Persons with Disability, JONAPID, and Lagos, which is an epic state, has LASODA, Lagos State Office for Disability Affairs.
Okay. Now, it's amazing that we have this. Now, what we've battled so far is stigma.
Yes.
There's a lady who is on Facebook. Her name is Blessing Ocheodo. I hope I got her name right. She had fought banks because she wanted inclusiveness.
Yes,
in banks where people are comfortable that they can go there also. And then, we're a very funny set of people where the moment we know that somebody has disability, we start to want to give them arms. And they say, no, that's not what we want.
Yeah.
Now, for us that... For us, right, how do we begin to see that we're all together and we don't see them as they don't need our pity, they don't need any of these things?
Okay. Like what I want us to have is that the issues of disability is a work in progress, and it's actually evolved. There have been different perspectives to disability. We have the medical perspective, where anything about disability is about, have you seen the doctor? Have you, we've moved from there. Then we have the charity model, where you begin to say, everything is about the deliverance. Okay, have you? And this happens to be one of the reasons why there's delayed intervention in education, because parents have not yet accepted, or they are still, sometimes one of labor, they to really find solution. They are still looking out. So there have been different, but right now we are in the human rights era. That's why I have people like Blessing advocating. Yes. And I must tell you, for the banks, the Nigerian Association of the Blind brought together 33 banks, because there was a sustainable, where the banks, not beyond the sustainable. I took the sustainable development goals aspect of that training, where the banks are signed way back 2012 policies. We have a lot of beautiful policies for inclusivity, like you have mentioned, and brought it to their fore to remind them. So it's a reminder. For some people, it is until it is close by at their doorstep that there's this awakening. Or some people, when they turn 70, turn those epic birthday year, and when they turn 40, let me just remember this blind school. Let's just go there and let me have my party. So that's a charity model, where you feel all they need is what you want to give. And the UN says nothing for us without us, nothing about us without us. So but it will also take an empowered person with disability to come out and speak. And like Blessing, if that she has not gone, hasn't happened, or she has not gone through that process of knowing exactly what to say, because the fight has to be with a lot of empathy, understanding that our world is developing. This is an evolving issue. I usually say, so it's not ex-obey. I give you an instance. There was a time that they were reviewing the business and human rights policy document for Nigeria, and I walked into the room, and the chief reviewer had finished. They finished, and there and then they said, any question? And I went my usual way. I stood up and I did
the sign language.
And the chief reviewer said, oh, okay, I did a little bit of that in college. You could continue, because sometimes some of us have actually had a bit of everything. And you just felt, so I signed. Do you want me to continue? The lady that was seated by my side was, we've been gisting. What happened? And I had to speak immediately. So when I had reloaded my sign, he said, oh my God, I'm lost. There's something she's trying to tell me. And I picked up the mic and I said, hello, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. What other advocacy? You know, and he said, oh, she's trying to give us a message, and now we get it. I said, look, you are reviewing this policy, and issues of disability is not looked at. For instance, the school where I started the Life Work Ready program, which is what we call the Life Skill program, that particular employer, he's deaf, pays a salary as at that time of, not now that the economy, COVID and all, 1.8 million, because he runs that school both in Lagos and in Enugu. Okay. And he doesn't owe salary. He has employed people that are hearing. He has employed people without disability in his school, and he pays them. You dare not misbehave, he sacks you. He's a no-nonsense person. So his issue is not taken into cognizance. And then they tendered media, everything. They tendered an apology. Immediately they correct. They review. Course correct. So yes, we want to fight. Yes, we want to say, yes, let's end the stigma. But it's going to be with a lot of empathy. But however, their policies now, their document, Nigeria has a disability law. Lagos State actually had the disability law before, which gave rise to that, the agency, LASODA as an agency, way back 2011. So before the national disability law that came in 2019. So we have a law now, and by it will come, it has come into force. And with the Disability Commission, there are a lot of things that will be enforced. But why wait until it becomes something that is more of a sanction? So it's about us making our environment inclusive, making it accessible for that person, creating events that everybody, and with the UN's paradigm that says leave no one behind. So everyone is important, because not just because we must do inclusion, because when you leave a particular percentage of your population out, like I usually joke and I say, you don't know whether the cure for Ebola, I say Ebola is coming again, or COVID. If you leave a particular percentage because you feel he or she may not be able to function or learn, we have left development. We are developed when holistically we are all involved, and we are harnessing that potential to be able to do so much. At the camp, we did fabric painting. You could see the creativity that they brought on board. We did market cleanup. We went to see the Onijaniki of Ijaloja was just too excited. You know, then people who had children, they started bringing out their children who were hiding them. And I tell you now, the school where we used for the camp, the woman is saying, I'm in trouble now because everybody is coming thinking that we're... I said, yes, mom is opening doors for you to be able to do something about it. Because I had the option of saying, oh, what concerns me? Shall I do my job, collect my money, and everybody goes home to sleep? It's not about the, we've moved, I think that's not...
We've moved past that.
So it's not, this child, yes, this child is, or this has happened. What next? What are the options? So when media, honestly, I must appreciate you for taking this
for doing the job.
Because if you hadn't if you provide, you can imagine you're rich. Yeah. So if one person one is reaching one, the other person says, oh, I've been to places where parents do not know that they have schools. The Lagos State College of Health, for instance, has integrated sign language into the school curriculum.
Good.
So, and guess what? A parent walked up to me at the gate and said, "Oh, my sister had asked that I look for you." I said, "Oh, I'm not missing. I'm here." He said, "I said, oh, say that they have a 10-year-old. Their daughter was turning 10 years, and she has never been to school. What is the issue? The husband's family is blaming the wife's family. The wife's family is blaming that where did we see it there that it is from the wife?" And I said, I just waited for him to finish.
Okay.
So I now said, "Oh," I said, "Are you done?" He said, "Yes, he's done." I said, I opened my tab and I saw. I said, "Your child can be in school." He said, "Eh?" I said, "There are schools that you can enroll her. And besides, Oga, if by the next academic year you do not have her in school, I'll get you arrested." That was when he, first I could see his ignorance. I could see he's not knowing that this can be possible. And then I see him light up when I show him that these are possibilities.
Now hold your thoughts a little.
Yes.
And to be part of the program, you can call us 0151519113 or call us 0151519113 or 00922220913 or 00919139113. If you have a question or a comment, please WhatsApp us 0809-234-5913. Now, for parents who have children who can't hear and who can't speak, how do they begin to, because you talked about adult literacy, how do parents and guardians begin to learn sign language so that they can help their children? Because for some children, they don't speak early. For some children, they just by themselves just keep quiet.
I really must applaud Lagos State for instance. I'm not holding brief for them.
Okay, but still, but I think for this one that they have done,
yes,
for
schools here, I recently met somebody who is saying, "Come, speaking fingers, you are coming to Enugu." I said, I want to come to that Enugu. I want to go to other places where. Because for us in Lagos, we've seen
everything.
We are like, I could see the lights in the eyes of the young people who came in from Akure and Ibadan for camp this year. I could see their lights, and I'm like, oh, let me go and walk in these places because Lagos is like at the return.
The next question I'll be asking is, how do we replicate you in those states?
Oh yes, beautiful, because that's sustainability actually. So I start by saying big thank you to Lagos State, at least creating inclusive units. At least that's the first step in knowing that children can be in school. So parents could actually make it also happen within those inclusive units and say, look, like the Hope Fountain School, where it's a privately owned school where this whole work started. They have every third Saturday holds parents, family. In fact, when I came, I say family sign language where young siblings. But I've heard of climes where government takes that responsibility to say, because you have a child that is deaf or you have a child with a disability. And I tell you, there are NGOs that are also working in that light. It's a work in progress, honestly.
So the question you have not answered is, how do we replicate you?
Myself, yes. How do you replicate?
Because it must not die with you.
No, it will not die with me. I'm a knack for legacy. I'm seriously a knack. But beyond replicating me, one of my deaf adolescents went somewhere and presented, and she's like a mentor, called me and said, I could see you in this child. And I'm like, it was very factual when he was signing. And she said, no, I don't think that's what the boy is saying. And she told the interpreter, no, I don't think he's saying that. And the interpreter, please give him biro and paper. He will tell you what he's. The moment the boy wrote what he was saying, he said, hey, Treasures. I wasn't there. He said, yeah, Treasures has put herself into these children. So for me, it's about, we've started that process of replicating me. I don't know how many people, I read your reach from your letter. I can tell you that I'm already being replicated.
Okay.
I'm already being replicated. If I leave Lagos Talks from your gate, I started it. So the idea is about each one tell one, and so I'm already being replicated. I don't feel it will never. I'm a knack for dying empty.
Okay, so we've talked about education.
Yes.
Now let's look at our religious settings where, yes, we understand there's miracles, right? But how then do we begin to tell churches and mosques that there's a need for sign languages in their church and their mosque?
Okay. I am trying as hard as I'm trying very well to say this is, yes, sign languages, but it is about the mindset, the paradigm, the fact that there are people who will want, a blind person will want to come to church and worship God and join the choir. I have one of our leaders, she's in the choir in a very renowned church here, you know, and that's the first step, knowing that paradigm. Then let's even start with that. Then before we move on to say, let's include sign language. It's not, sometimes it's about making our publications or our videos accessible by subtitling, by captioning it, and putting that insertion of a sign language interpreter if you have the facility. So each one just starting from where we are. So churches could, I want it out there that they're not just coming because they need healing.
That's what I want to
the fact that they can make it to church and say they want to come and worship is healing enough. I believe in healing, and I every day I wake up is a miracle. Being here is also a miracle in itself. So, but when we leave developing that whole person and suppress it to just a 1 second miracle, it has happened, then we shortchange ourselves. We should always remember that the conversation is about not shortchanging ourselves. It's about bringing value, because there's a way the blind person will reason and bring value and enrich your work. Because now you say, oh, let's read the announcement on the screen. But because you are mindful, you are conscious of the fact that you have a blind audience. I see you. I'm seeing your head.
No. So here is me saying that for somebody who God is awesome. Now, for somebody who cannot see and cannot hear, how do we help the person?
So beyond helping,
so she's
beyond doing help, the truth is about enriching your platform, whether it is a church service, whether it is a mosque, whether it is in Lagos Talk. It's about enriching that, okay, that person cannot see, right? And you want provide audio. The person cannot hear, provide text. You can imagine if a telecommunication
most of our smartphones has
you can't beat WhatsApp with our deaf and don't listen to. You can't. We do WhatsApp a whole lot. We do WhatsApp. We do videos. We do video calls. So is about thinking accessibility, thinking inclusively, thinking usability. That if somebody picks it up, that is the mindset that comes if you are a business development person. When I talk about the issues of disability with corporate organizations, I don't go hand in cap begging and say, come. I tell you, there's value. There's a statistics of 29.7 million persons living with disability in Nigeria. So that is market. That is market.
Huge market.
That is huge market. I jokingly will ask, I said, look, if you create a product or a service and every day that 29.7 million persons can actually buy from you like it is an essential, you've created something, because it is, you see, your thinking, your creativity is heightened. And to say, let me think of something for this market, a niche, you are asking. The other time, some people are calling. So I've created a product and a service, and every 5 p.m., 1,000 naira times 29.7 million. Will you be rich or you be rich?
Well,
give me the sound of your alerts here now. So
yes, you would. As far as the product, they can use the product.
Use the product because you have thought it through. So the world is talking about bringing a diverse audience on the table if you are going to develop product services for anybody.
Now, you talked about when your mind, and I want us to talk about that briefly, but
Yes.
again, it's Signals on 91.3. I have with us, let me use that, Treasures Uchegbu, and she's the convener and CEO of Speaking Fingers Network. Now, if you have a question or comment, call us on WhatsApp 009-234-5913 or 015151913 or 009-191-3913. Now, you talked about when the mind is liberated through education, the blind will see and the deaf will hear. Please explain.
You know, education is not just in the four walls of the class. So for me, I compliment what is happening at the academies. Oh, I applaud all the teachers. Some days back, it was World Teachers Day.
Yes.
And my comment straight on was for volunteer teachers in schools of persons with disability, particularly the deaf schools.
The second. Hello, good morning. Hello.
Yeah, hello, good morning.
Good morning. Hello, Remy.
Yeah, my name is Remy from Tottenham.
Okay.
Thank you very much for bringing these fantastic ladies. Our energy has thrown my phone off the table to the floor. Yeah.
Good.
I'm blushing.
Thank you very much. So, I want to commend you for what you're doing and
Thank you.
also ask you a couple of questions. Some scholars believe that what disables somebody is not a clinical condition they are in. They believe it's a social structure that posts disabling barriers. I mean, you started this. What can you advise as part of, as a way of infusing sign language into our culture, because it's got to be part of our culture? How do you think we could go about that process? And secondly, are there sign language in other languages? I mean, like in Nigeria now, I mean, are there Igbos? Because I know you have something like that in Wales. And lastly, just a follow-up on the religious ignorance of disabled people. I mean, do you really think the religious organization needs to learn more outside the concept of miracle or theology of liberation, that disability is a normal thing, it's part of life? Miracle cannot necessarily end it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Remy.
Wow.
So,
Thank you, Remy. Thank you so much. That was the bumper.
yes, so I leave you to answer.
Okay, so but help me.
Okay, so you talked about infusion of
sign language.
Of sign languages, and then is there any other? Can sign language be replicated in Yoruba, Igbo, Hausa, and all of that? Because you mentioned that.
Okay.
Then the religious aspect.
Okay. Religious aspect, like every other thing I've mentioned, is a work in progress. We have religious institutions now that have made services accessible, both for. I am in one. I'm in one, and we have the deaf community in my own church where I worship. And that, I would say, even for us, is also a work in progress. It's also a work in progress because it's been evolving. Then sign languages in Nigeria, we speak a derivative of American Sign Language. We have over 300 sign languages all across the world. But what I jokingly say, but we don't have one universal sign language. So, and children learn by gesture first in the home. You see, this is broom, you know, there are things that I'll just say.
And then I think we have, our culture has a way
our culture, we
looking
just,
at you like you must get it.
By the time I look at you, so we've had from the very onset, what gets go, we have ways of communicating. However,
300 sign languages.
Yes, over.
Different.
Yes, different per countries.
Okay.
Per countries. But we speak a derivative of American Sign Language. Things like Amala.
Okay.
It's not in your American dictionary.
No.
So there are sign language resources. There are online training. There are free YouTube trainings that you could get. Like I said, the ones that the deaf schools run, you can take advantage working, and we can be reached out to say, okay, provide us with this service. Then all across, there are interpreters, because those were the ones I paid tribute to for this year. World Teachers Day, because there are schools where the interpreters, some months back I read that the federal government now has created a cadre for interpreters. I really do not know how far with that implementation. So you find out that there are platforms. Now the world is closer to us by virtue of the internet. So there are sign language trainings that one can be opened up to. Then beyond, like I said, it has evolved. It's been a process, like he rightly mentioned. We are now in the human rights era, where even churches or religious organizations can be sued if they do not make their services or product accessible. So, but for me, for us in Speaking Fingers, it's not so much about sanction. It's about, can we
educate
ourselves? Can we provide that, like we are doing here, provide this platform? There are some that you get to the gate and you have, I've had many. In fact, I remember a case in point where I went to a shop and I signed. She was selling shoes. It was a Monday morning and I went there. I greeted her. The woman just did this to me and said me I should. So I stood there, because we have a mindset that deaf people are
stubborn.
So I stood there.
I actually laid it in the market.
So I stood there and she was like, so immediately I opened up my mouth and I told her, good morning, ma. She ran into her inner shop.
She has just received a miracle.
Like, what? So she ran several cases like that. I do something called KAP, that is knowledge, attitude, and practice, because as a development practitioner, you need to look at what are the perception of people concerning the things you're advocating for. What is their knowledge level? What is their attitude? What are their practices? Because I believe so much that when people know better, they will do better. So this is a sound out to religious organization that is beyond miracle. What's it called? There was a time I was walking, my blind friend, we had gone out. In fact, we've not seen for a long while, we've met. And so we took the bridge. Somewhat, a supposed man of God was following us. So we got to the other side of the bridge where she's going to board a vehicle to Ekorodu. And the man just tapped me and said, sister. He said, this your sister, in blind. I said, oh, yes. He said, hey, he get prayer. That's where we go pray.
People don't know
he get
boundaries.
Prayer. He get the prayer where we go pray. He get where pray place where we go. So I now looked at him and I said, you feel say now waiting she want? And the man said yes. I said, hey, let me tell you what she wants. Uber. Uber with AC. And like I looked at him head to toe, because the person you are saying is a Mandela Washington fellow with 2 master's degree. She just came in from the US, have been to the Emirates.
I'm sure the man was shocked.
So I looked at him. His shoes had stories to tell. No way to demean him. So and I looked at him, and like the scripture say, he went back sorrowful because he didn't have what my friend needed. So we should stop assuming that we know what they want. And 2 questions like I do at the training center, where I also coordinate. I coordinate the sign language school for our worship center. And 2 questions you must ask a person with disability when you meet one. Not that you go and hold the cane. Just
or assume
or assume that you know what he or she needs. Do you need help? Ask. Feel free to ask. It's not, do you need help? And how may I help you? Because what I will need is just understand that
there's a gentleman an old gentleman. The man is visually impaired, and when he walks, I'm sometimes I noticed him for a while. When he walks, he knows where he's going to with his stick, and sometimes his cane. And then when he's going, there was a particular day I just stood and I'm like, God, till he got to where he was going to, no assistance, nothing, except when he needed to cross the road. And I think people, because we're naturally, we can help. We like to overhelp sometimes. So people were
already the fish out of the water.
Yeah. Now, before I wrap up, because my time is up, is the people who are born naturally with disability, which is fine, but life is very funny. Accident can happen at any time where they have to amputate or the person literally goes by, and it's hard for them to integrate back into the society.
Yes.
How do we encourage the family
Yes, there are therapy sessions, and there's opportunity for them to learn living skills, daily living skills. Is learned too, and for the persons with disability, I say it is also learned. For instance, we have this mindset: if we say no, put leave in your mouth.
Okay.
So because these are the cancers that is swelling stigma.
Okay, so that was in secondary school where they would tell you
put leave
in the mouth.
Very good. So when you put leave,
you need to learn a lot of things.
When you put leave, so when you put leave, you expect the deaf to they'll be pursuing you, isn't it?
Yes.
And somebody said, why? When they asked me, when we were going around doing the school tour on the sign language awareness for the children, and they asked me, why do they pursue? And I will ask everyone, what is leave?
Goat.
So who would want to be called a goat? So I go back to my own community. So I go back to my own community of deaf people, and I ask them. I say, I hear that when they put leave, you start pursuing people. He say, because they're abusing their deed. I say, so how about when they put that leave, or the person puts leave because he or she is ignorant? You go to the next garden, look for a beautiful plate, cut more leaves. Be mindful to cut the one that is at the bush out, and now serve it to that person. What have you indirectly told the person? So that way, we have removed the fight from Armageddon. So you, as media people, play a key role in providing so that they know that their therapy sessions, their therapists, is just for our therapists to grow, because the challenge actually starts from, like, for instance, a child which is congenital disability or congenital deafness. You suddenly find out that this child has been born with a disability, maybe as a result of infection, adverse drug, errors, things a lot of things beyond medical, like he mentioned, beyond medical, has happened. Life has happened. Or maybe the person grows up, life has happened. So what will happen is, from that very beginning, parents have to receive some form of counseling. So with that, with counseling, it can actually help to cushion that. Then the larger society must know that we all must, love is overflow. We all must be kind to one to another.
Okay.
Kindness,
yes.
Empathy.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
About to send me away. So before you come and use his own pepper, let me just show him that. Anyway, thank you so much, Treasures. Thank you so much. We're grateful. We're grateful that don't do that yet.
This is thank you. We do this a lot. It's borrowed from sign language.
Okay, so
when you finish that, welcome. No, bring the person in card. Welcome.
That's
welcome.
Okay, then. Thank you so much.
Then we have the ASL alphabets.
Okay.
Yes, so I'm going to leave one for Lagos Talk, so if people can hang that.
Hang it.
Yes.
Give it to Kade. Now, so
with that, you can learn the alphabet. You can finger spell words. At least let's start by, this is BOY for boy. BBC just did an interview of the Igbo version of it. So BYO for boy, and this is the sign for boy. So if you finger spell, which is minimally to the deaf, you can actually get the sign.
All right. Okay then. Last comments. Your guest spoke well about the examples. Even when the blind met Jesus, Jesus still asked him, "What do you want?" Imagine telling Rosalie, the great singer, that he should see. Tade, thank you so much for listening.
Thank you.
To everyone who has called in, thank you, Remy, and for everyone who has called in and listened in. It's a learning moment for all of us, including myself. So till we come your way again next week Saturday, like we always say, and I'll borrow words from Treasures, who says, be kind, love is overflow, but create opportunities for people. And because people just be kind.
Yes.
Have a wonderful weekend. God bless.
Amen. This is amen. Amen.
Okay, I think I am missing one more. Okay. Thank you so much, Mom.
I hope that was okay.